awesome.
Where is Cindy at? Our next question is coming from Cindy. Thank you.
Welcome to Bedford County. I want to thank you for recognizing the veterans in the audience and our concerns. Thank you both for your service then. Thank you for your service now, as they are both equally important. When my dad, who I'm very proud of, came home from Vietnam, he wasn't educated on the health benefits and services that he earned and was entitled to. When I got out of the Marine Corps in 1996, I was not educated on the health benefits and services I earned and was entitled to. When my nephews, whom I am also very proud of, got out of the military in the mid-2000s, they were not educated on the benefits that they earned and was entitled to. The first time I registered and voted was for President Trump because we needed change. We still need change. What will you and your administration do to help educate the veterans on the health benefits and services they've earned and health benefits they are entitled to? Semper Fi, thank you.
Well, Cindy, Semper Fi, and thank you for the question, and thank you for your, not just your service, but your whole family's service. That's an amazing testament to the American tradition of military service. But I actually have a somewhat similar story, though luckily it didn't have the same personal consequence for me. You know, when I got out of the Marine Corps in 2007, I went straight to Ohio State University. Don't hold it against me. I know we're in Pennsylvania. And, you know, I signed up for a student health plan, and it was a lot of money. Right, and I didn't have anybody helping me out. I was on Pell Grants, and you know things were pretty tight because I was, you know, I didn't come from a family of means. I didn't come from a family of money, and I had no idea that because of a law that had been passed while I was in the Marine Corps, that I could get free health care through the VA. I think it was for 5 years after I got out of the United States Marine Corps, and I had no idea. And so I spent hundreds of dollars on health insurance premiums until somebody kind of just said, hey, why don't you go to the VA and get health care service? And I said, I don't think I'm allowed to. And they said, I know that you are. And that's what changed that for me and saved me probably thousands of dollars of health care expenses over the next few years. And I think that what we have to do is the Veterans Administration needs to cooperate with Department of Defense and make sure that whether it's the last month or the last week, when folks are getting out of active military service, they need to be educated about what the services that are available so they can take advantage of what they're owed by their own government. That's got to change. And, you know, to Tulsi's point, this is really about keeping the commitments that American taxpayers and the American nation makes to its people who put on the uniform and offer to risk it all for our shared freedom and certainly for our shared prosperity as a country. Here's another thing that's very unusual to me is you've got a lot of Americans right now who are veterans who are sleeping on park benches, who are sleeping under bridges, who don't have access to the care that they need. Well, my attitude is if the politicians and the Pentagon bureaucrats want to send people off to war, they ought to keep their commitments to people when those folks come home from war. We've got to stop this. We just have to do better.
What you just said, JD, I think is so central to the changes that we need to make in a very simple thing of making it so that the DOD and the VA work together.
That's right.
A lot of people, those of us who have gone through this know, but the fact that you spend your time in service, and whether you've deployed or not, you've got a probably pretty thick medical record. The VA has no access to your DOD medical records. No access. So you got to go and bring pieces of paper, and they got to literally scan those pieces of paper into a different database. When I first got to Congress, I asked why. Like, that's crazy. That doesn't make sense. I asked for a printout of every single veteran in my district so that I could help inform them of the services that were available to them. They literally printed out on an old dot matrix printer, you know, with the holes on the edges with the perforated lines, and gave me this huge stack. But the reason why they said that the two systems don't talk to each other was because of some government contract that someone signed.
Wow.
President Trump's a problem solver. I guarantee you he'll find a way to solve this problem.
That's exactly right.
All right, next up, we have Julie.
Hello, Senator, Colonel. I'm a retired United States Army soldier. Since I've left service, I've continued my education by obtaining a master's degree in counseling as well as a PhD in criminal justice. So according to the research, 14% of our homeless population in America are veterans.
Wow.
Well, that number includes 7% of an increase just in the last 4 years under the Biden-Harris administration. Our veterans watch as the current administration puts illegal migrants up in hotels. What will you do to change that policy, and will you help find solutions for those homeless veterans?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Well, thank you, Julie. And here's a basic principle that I think that we could do on practically day one of the Trump administration. We could say that no American tax dollars go to housing illegal immigrants while veterans are homeless in the United States of America. Why? Again, to me, this is about duties and obligations, right? Veterans understand duties and obligations as well as anybody. We make a sacred compact between our nation's veterans. We say we're going to send you off to places, sometimes places, to Tulsi's point, that you never should have been sent to in the first place. But when you come home, there are certain obligations we're going to meet. And God forbid, if you don't come home, we're going to meet those obligations to your family. The fact that we have so many people who did their end of the bargain and the government doesn't do its end of the bargain is a scandal, and it needs to stop on day one of the Trump administration. It's so unacceptable. But, you know, Julie, your point drives home a related point here, which is that, or your question drives home a related point, which is that veterans are very much members of the community, and veterans are affected by the same policies and the same problems that everybody else is, right? Sometimes they're affected more significantly, sometimes a little less significantly. But why do we have 14% of our homeless population who are veterans, and why have we seen such a significant increase? Because housing has gotten totally unaffordable over the last 4 years. There is a direct connection between increased housing costs and increased homelessness. I believe in the state of Pennsylvania, housing costs have increased by about 40% just since Kamala Harris became the vice president of the United States. So if we want to fix the veterans' homelessness problem, let's make housing more affordable for all America's citizens, and let's do it starting immediately. And I know we're focused on veterans issues, and I don't want to derail this too much, but it's very important to talk about the three obvious things that we should be doing to make housing more affordable. Number one, we should be doing more home building in the United States of America. Think about this. We are descendants of people who built rockets that flew to the moon, and all they had was pocket calculators and slide rules. And thanks to government policy, we don't build enough houses to house American citizens. What is this? 60 years ago, we built rockets that went to the moon. Now we don't build enough houses for American citizens. If we got rid of some of the ridiculous regulations out there, we'd create a lot of prosperity in the construction industry. We'd also build a lot more homes for American citizens. Number two, we've got to pursue common sense economic policies that lower mortgage interest rates so that people can afford to borrow and get into a home in the first place. And here's the final thing, and it goes back to Julie's point about illegal immigration. It doesn't matter how many homes we build. If we allow millions upon millions of people who don't have the legal right to be here to go into houses that ought by right go to American citizens, we are going to have a housing crisis. This very simple principle, and it's going to benefit veterans most of all, but it's going to benefit everybody, is American homes should go to American citizens, not to people who don't have the right to be here.